I'll get rid of this commercial as quick as we can. But I'm excited because we got new apparel. We've been working really hard. Shout out to my boy Smokey. Shout out to my girl Emma. They've been working hard on it. And then also the entire team has really stepped up their game. Anyone involved in our social media and anybody involved in our media, which kind of starts to include our entire crew, our entire bunch. But a lot of work goes into the execution of having a product and then what the hell to do with it afterwards. I can go into that in a lot of detail, but you guys might fall asleep, so I won't do that. But basically, in order for this stuff to work, everything has to be in order, including like the gym has to be clean. The stuff has to be put away because when we go out there to do a photo shoot, if there's a bunch of garbage, like literal garbage in the background of the shoot, it takes away from the product shots that we're trying to get. So everything has to be in place, and everyone on the team has been doing an amazing job of making that happen. Shout out to our boy Smokey, of course. He's the general manager of Sling Shot, and he is kicking ass and making sure things are in order around here. So this is our bomber jacket. It's got the ST Shield logo on it, as you guys can see there. Those of you watching on Instagram right now, and those of you watching on our YouTube feed. Again, if you're popping in on Instagram, which I just have a little phone set up over here, that's not the best way to watch us, but I just like to show you guys what we're up to. And we'll be on here for a few minutes, but I'll probably take it down. We've got a lot of other stuff. So that's the bomber jacket. We have, if you want to watch us full tilt, go on powerproject.live. That's where you're going to want to see us. That's where we're on YouTube. Obviously, these podcasts are also aired on iTunes and stuff like that as well. You can even see us on Facebook. This is a hoodie that I really like a lot. It's kind of this shiny, like wicking material almost, and it says "Power" down the arm. This one's definitely one of my faves. Kind of a heavy hoodie, but perfect for it's starting to get cold outside. Mm-hmm. Andrew's always cold, so
yeah, I've been a lot better though.
Oh,
yeah.
That temperature's starting to self-regulate. Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think maybe getting a lot more blood flow, so that way I'm not, just all clogged up and freezing.
Yeah, well, and just your diet too. I mean, your thyroid plays into it a lot, and who knows, maybe your thyroid was just kind of puttering around for a while. Maybe it's kind of going on all cylinders now. You'll see a lot of bodybuilding guys will start to eat and they just start sweating.
Yeah.
Because their metabolism starts to speed up and they get hot every time they consume some food,
Yeah, well, like that guy, Lolo.
Yeah.
That guy sweats.
He
sweats a lot.
Yeah, he does sweat a lot. We have another hoodie. This is just a power hoodie. Another nice thick one for the winter. It's got the front pockets, the whole 9 yards. This is just a pullover. Pullover! No, it's cardigan.
Killer boots, man.
Mm-hmm. This is all available, markbellslingshot.com. This one's nice. This is a Destroy shirt. We do this a lot with the ST logo, as we've done with the Strong before, and we'll do it with a lot of other things coming up. But you can see it says Destroy. Shout out to our artist, who I won't name, who drew this up for us. We got to protect some stuff around here over at Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. You saw the bomber, and then this last one. I don't know what they're calling this one.
That one's called the League. Coach's jacket or something.
The League
like
Coach's jacket. This one's sick. This one's nice.
The League
and thick.
jacket. Yeah.
There we go. The League jacket. This one's nice and thick, just like your mom's thighs.
Mm-hmm.
Camo, like you're going to goddamn war, right? And it's also going to be pretty good against the rain. It's kind of like a raincoat type feel. You kind of hear it crinkling around.
That one's my favorite one.
Stuff like this is great because you put it on, it doesn't make you hot. You put on a sweatshirt sometimes, it'll automatically kind of seal in all the heat. But a jacket like that's kind of nice because it will block out the wind and it'll just keep you from getting super cold.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just got back from Seattle and I was going to go home, and I decided, if I go home, it's another 20 minutes to the house. I wanted to eat. I wanted to get more fuel in my body for today's workout. And then I wanted to come back. But the problem was, I was like, you know what? I'm going to lose a lot of time. And I'm getting old. I ain't got time. So I need to keep pushing, and I need to keep things moving along. So I came right here to the gym. I figured let's fire up the podcast machine. Andrew blew all the dust off it, and he yanked on that thing until it finally
Turned over.
kicked over, and she barely started up.
I had to throw igniter fluid all over the carburetor to actually get this thing fired up. But once it did, it was purring like a kitten.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
No.
It wasn't easy. But we got it fired up, and it looks like the podcast will at least last another day. Kind of hard to say. Hard to tell. Teeter-totters, you know. So we got here, and we're doing this, and we're going to be lifting in a little while. We're going to be doing some chest. And I can't remember if it's chest and biceps or chest and triceps, but I know I've been getting really sore from our workouts lately. I know that much. My arms were dead from the arm training, and then, I don't know about you, but my hammies are lit up.
Right now, they started cramping up again because when we were podcasting with Jeremy Avila, which was an amazing podcast.
Jeremy Avila!
Yeah, shout out to him. As he's talking, I had to just shoot my leg straight forward because it was cramping up so bad. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm like, oh, like there's nowhere for me to go, so I guess that's fine. But I was worried about when I stood up, what was going to happen. And then right now, I kind of like, I kicked my leg back just to pop my knee a little bit. And I was like, oh, there it is again. Still
guys,
sore.
this is just some deep, dark, private advice, guys. But, you know, like, if anything ever happens like prematurely, or if for some reason, like things are pretty stiff, and then they go to not being so stiff, blame it on a cramp every time. Oh, cramp. Yep, something cramped up. Yep. Whoops.
That's really good.
Yeah. Whoops. Up. Cramped up. You could sell it. You could sell that as much as you want.
Cramped up. I need at least half an hour.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Maybe I have to go look at some porn too for the cramp. Yeah, you know, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes we end up in a little bit of trouble if something happens a little earlier than we wanted it to.
I just got to say, I appreciate the knowledge that you spit on this podcast, and you're not going to get that from anywhere else.
It's saving people's lives.
That could save someone's relationship.
Well, and speaking of saving people's lives, this next story, I think, is going to have an impact on a lot of people, and it impacted a lot of people already. But today I was coming home from Seattle. I've been all over the place, which I don't even know why. I don't know what I'm doing, but I just keep flying different places. So I'm coming back, and I've been sharing this a lot on the podcast. I'm a two pooper, like I poop twice every morning. So I knew what was going to happen. I knew the predicament I was going to be in. I knew the bind I was going to be in, so to speak. And so I woke up. Things were normal. Took a dump. Took a shower, and I was like, well, I took a dump, and then I waited, because I was like, all right, is everything all cleared out? And then I took a shower, clean everything up as pristine as I can. And I brought baby wipes with me, because I ain't no fool.
Another good move.
Yeah, you gotta stay out in front of it, right? And so I'm on my way back from Seattle. I'm on the plane. And it's like noon. Normally, you know, both poops are out a lot earlier than that. But in this case, you know, it wasn't. I didn't have time to get it all out. My wife and I went and saw the original Starbucks, and we went walking around. Like, I think it's Pike's Place is the area, and we had a good time. We had a lot of fun, but the ride home wasn't so fun. I'm sitting there. They have the fasten seatbelt thing still on. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to unleash holy hell on that bathroom. And so I get up, and you know, they still have the thing on or whatever. And my move with that, when they have the seatbelt sign still on, I just go with my headphones, and I just plow forward, and I go right for the bathroom.
Another good move.
But this time they had it locked. Because they're like trying to prevent people from going in there until it's like the right time or whatever. And so then the lady had to come and like open it for me. But before that happened, my wife saw me reach for my bag and pull out baby wipes. She just looked, she shook her head with her eyes closed, and then just proceeded to roll she rolled towards the window.
Away from you.
And curled up, like as if like she's, you know, running for cover kind of thing. And I thought it was a smart move, because she knew it was going to happen.
Right.
But nobody else knew it was going to happen. Anyway, I finally get the opportunity to go in there, and it's like the second that my shorts come down, the second that there's clearance, it's just like bam. And it wasn't liquid, it was just normal, you know, it's just normal poop. And I luckily I had the baby wipes in there, but it was so messy that I had to start with the toilet paper first, because you can't just go and wipe a mess like that around. Those of you that have kids know what I mean.
It's just gonna spread.
It's just gonna smear it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I had to like apply a lot of science to it. I'm like, I'll start with the dry first, and then I'll move into the more moist
That's good.
towelettes secondly. You know.
Yeah, it's like when you have bird poop on the windshield, you can't just dry wipe with the windshield wipers.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna spread it around.
It's not gonna work the way that you
Mm-mm.
think. And so I had to I clean all that up and everything, and I flushed quickly because I was like, someone's gonna die if they smell this giant turd. And thank God the plane sucks that shit down, and then it has it's like a trap. It's like a little vent, and the vent will the poop will go down and get sucked out of there and go whoop, and it will just totally disappear like it never existed before. And then the thing shoots back across, kind of cover the smell back up. It's amazing. So I really cap the smell down into wherever, whatever part of the plane
That's
that
great.
is. Or does it just drop out of the bottom of
That's
the
what
plane?
I was gonna ask. Like, where does it go?
Yeah, it just lands on somebody's house. Could you imagine that?
I'm impressed by your mobility to actually wipe in such a small area.
Oh man, it was tough. I was really, what made it kind of rocket out of there was the situation I was in, and it made me think a lot about how I poop, because I was like, I could be folded up a lot better, even though we got the squatty potty here. I was more in like a back attack position. Remember the back attack we did the other day?
Yeah.
I was in like a good morning position. I was folded up,
Oh, okay.
like leaning way forward.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just boom, it just rocketed out of there, so clean and smooth. But a little bit more came out than I bargained for, and so that's why I had to do all those, do all that wiping. So I pop out of there, and I'm all sweaty, and for some reason my hat will be straight when I go in, but when I go out, my hat will be cocked to the side. It's actually part of the reason why when I do the Power Project videos, I turn the hat, because every time I come out of the bathroom, my hat is now sidewards on my head and halfway off my head, It's like I was just in a goddamn tornado or something.
Right. I'm glad you had the wipes though, because that's so crucial. That's huge.
Oh, that was big. I would have just sat there all dirty the whole rest of the flight. It would have been awful for everybody.
Not only that, but could you imagine how many times you'd have tried to wipe with that thin ass airplane toilet paper?
No, it wouldn't have worked out so well.
It's like 0.75 ply. You can see through it. It's not good.
It would have been absolutely awful. I just realized that I was on the wrong Instagram just now, because
Oh no.
I was like, there's not that many people on there, and I think I might have been on the Strong Apparel Co., which is actually appropriate because I showed all the clothes in the beginning. So there you go.
Yeah. Who got it wrong now?
How do I figure out how to get off of here?
So go click on the profile on the bottom right.
Oh, bottom right. I'm way off. Whoops. Oh, whoops.
Go to your home
I think I
regular.
just posted. Bottom right.
Bottom right.
Okay.
And then where it has the name, it should be like a drop-down list.
Oh.
Whoop-am.
Man, they're really changing things over there at Instagram.
I know.
Yeah, so anyway, I mean, going to Seattle wasn't all glory. There was a poop story thrown in there in the mix.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the second poop, especially on the road. But it's good that you did your due diligence.
Some people can't poop in public at all. Like my cousin's like that. My cousin Steven.
Yeah.
Remember he told us.
Uh-huh.
He's like, I can't do it. I was like, well, what about when you go on vacation? He's like, I have vacation ass. My ass goes on vacation too, and it closes up shop. I'm like, for 5 days?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand. He goes, no, I need to get to a house. And I was like, a hotel's okay? He's like, yeah. He's like, if I'm staying at the hotel, I can handle that. But yeah, he said normally he can't normally do it. He can't normally pee.
Yeah, no, just going on the road with the team and whatnot. I've gotten so much better.
Yeah.
I remember
we're all talking to each other in there now.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, bro, what's up? We're all high-fiving each other and stuff while we're pooping.
Well, usually, because it'll be me and Griffin to one room, and I'll be like, hey, I gotta handle business right now, so I'm gonna actually go to the lobby because I don't want to destroy our room.
Everyone destroys the lobby bathroom.
So I gotten so comfortable. She's like, yeah, fine. I'm just gonna go hang out in the lobby and take a big old dump. I'll be back.
I gotta tell you, Andrew, you are extremely a polite person. I mean, you really are. That shows you. I mean, you really care about Griffey.
Yeah,
I
No,
mean,
I
he
just,
should. I mean, he should understand that by now.
I mean, because like hotel bathrooms, there's no vents for.
No.
I don't know how to build stuff, but I'd imagine like it can't
Mm-hmm.
be impossible to throw in a pipe with a vent that goes right out the building. Like, give us something.
Just right in the other person's room.
And then like
right over the other person's bed.
And then what's bad is like thankfully like we're on opposite schedules. Like he'll do everything at night, I'll do everything in the morning. So like I'll take a dump in the morning and then shower. But I always think like, oh dude, it's gonna be all steamy and muggy in here and poopy.
Yeah.
So it's just swamp ass all over the walls.
It's a deadly combination.
Yeah, and there's no vents in these damn hotel rooms.
Yeah, pooping in the bathroom, the plane bathroom, the airplane bathroom was it was a little scary. But like if I was any bigger, I wouldn't have worked. Like if I was 5 pounds heavier, what I was envisioning, because I was kind of holding onto the door to kind of like squat back, to squat down to like sit back and get into the hammies a little bit more. I'm holding onto the door. I'm like, something's gonna shake and I'm gonna come flying out of the door with my pants around my ankles. I was like, I know that's gonna happen.
Head first right into the wall.
Yeah, boom, right behind like the stewardess or whatever who's getting fucking crackers for people or whatever, right?
Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. That'd be a great skit. Someone's got to do that.
It was, it wasn't great. I want to address, there was a meme made today, and the guy kind of had this meme of somebody. It's actually on my Instagram. It's somebody chucking a basketball, and then the next shot is like a giant garbage dumpster or whatever. And they made fun of our commercial, and they made this kind of funny meme, and people responded to it. And what's weird is the response in the post that people made to the original post the guy made. Like they don't really have a lot to do with what the guy what the guy posted. Mm-hmm. They start talking about like racist stuff, and I don't know. They talk about weird. I don't know how we got to this place in our society where things get so sideways all the time. Mm-hmm. I've said this before. When you think about somebody's going to be the president or somebody's going to be hold a certain job or hold a certain position, a lot of times, even like O.J. Simpson, for example. O.J. Simpson killing somebody is separate from him being a good football player. He was a great football player. He's one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, and nothing really changes that. I'm not saying he's a good person. He's a piece of shit, I think, right? Mm-hmm. It looks like he's guilty of killing even more than one person, right? So, but the two things they don't necessarily go together. And I find it interesting when people start to fight online how inflammatory they get. So this guy made a post, and I think he was trying to, get some people riled up, and he probably just also trying to be. He was also trying to be trying to be funny, but also maybe he was halfway serious because he's talking about how he doesn't feel the USAPL, pays out or cares about their athletes. Now, I want to address that a little bit because the USAPL is the most formidable powerlifting federation that there is. It's the most organized powerlifting federation that there is, and it's been that way for a long time. I also feel it's the federation that provides the most opportunity for lifters in terms of having a Super Bowl-esque type competition. You're not going to get that from the SPF. You're not going to get that from the USPA. You're not going to get that from the USPF or any other abbreviation of a bunch of letters that you throw together. They are, of course, they want to make money, and of course, that's why this has been put into place. The $250,000 sounds like a crazy amount of money, and it is a crazy amount of money in some sense, but it's also over the course of 4 years, and it starts in 2019. There seemed to be some confusion about that as well. The actual process of these sleeves being regulated for IPF/USAPL competition starts January 1, 2019, and it goes for 4 years after that. What we decide to do 4 years from now, I can't really say, but I would imagine that we will probably stick with them. Some other people were making some comments about me and Ed Cohn being buddies, and then like me being all about the USAPL and IPF. I want to address that too, because I've always been all about powerlifting, regardless of the federation. Just because I've made choices in my career doesn't mean that I don't like the USAPL. Are there certain aspects of that federation that maybe I don't love? Yeah, of course. There's aspects of all federations and all powerlifting. I care about powerlifting a lot. So, um, when I think about these certain things, yeah, sometimes you get frustrated. I've taken kids to USAPL meets before, and the guys, the judges were just so anal retentive about the rules that I just thought it was really unfortunate because they were giving the kids that I brought to this meet a really bad experience. And at the same time, look, you got to follow the rules. There's rules. There's a rule book, right? I just didn't like the way they were doing stuff though, because they would give my guys a white light, and they'd be like, "Oh, that was borderline." And I'm like, "Well, he either like made it or he didn't." Like, don't give him something that he didn't get. But I love powerlifting. I have been guilty of loving it too much. I've taken a lot of time and resources away from the people that love me because I have dove into it so hard for so many years and spent 4, 5, 6 hours in the gym. I created this monster called Super Training Gym that is my second family and my second home in a lot of ways. And I'm obsessed with it, and it's why Super Training Gym is free. I think people have this misconception of like what we're trying to do over here at Sling Shot. Make no mistake about it, we are here to make the world a better place to lift. And the $250,000 that was placed into the USAPL doesn't mean the following things. It doesn't mean that we're not going to put money into other federations. It doesn't mean that that's the stop of our budget. $250,000 is not the stop of our budget for our plans in 2019 on what we want to do with USAPL contests, potentially the things that we might want to do with USAPL lifters. There's so much that can go into all this. Now, I'm responsible for the lives of about 20 people that work here at Sling Shot. And so I can't just haphazardly make decisions maybe the way that I used to. I can still be strong, and I could still be assertive, and I could still go after, the things that I want to go after. But there's certain things that I don't do today that I may have done, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm responsible for Andrew's Christmas in some way. I'm responsible for Smokey's Christmas. I'm responsible for all these things in more ways than one. And so because of that, I'm trying to provide the best possible scenario so that we all and everybody in this building can have the best opportunity to grow. And so the company can continue to expand. And so when I put money into something, I have to figure out, how do we get money back out of that? How does that benefit Andrew? How does that benefit Jessica Smith? How does that benefit Rosemary? How does that benefit? I need to figure out, how does it benefit Sling Shot? That's just the way it is. It's business, right? Now, at the same time, I'm not an ROI guy. I'm not going to sit here and look at, what are we getting a return, on investment? Like, what does that look like? What are those numbers? What are our margins? I never look at anything like that. I've never once have ever looked at an expense report and compared it to, I don't even know what these things are called. I'm sure they have a name. I don't even know what they're called. I've never read one business book. I've never gone to business school. These are all, I just learned a lot of this stuff on the fly, and I promote the company the way that I want to promote it. And that's the reason why that commercial came out the way that it did. As a group, we thought it would be fun. We're like, wow, we have this large sum of money that we haven't invested into this process. And you know what? We should share that with our fans. We should tell our fans, hey guys, here's what we're doing. You wanted stuff to be IPF approved and USAPL approved. Well, not only did we do it, but we did it at a great cost, and we did it for you. Obviously, there's a return for me, right? Anyone who's in business or anybody, I mean, look, it's not even business. You're always going to kind of look at what's the most bang for your buck, right? Do I know that we'll make that money back? I have no idea, but I do know that I love the smell of fear. I know I like that a lot. And I know that I can smell the fear on the other companies because the other companies, they're, the other companies, we don't know who the heads of these companies are. We don't know if they're powerlifters. We don't know if they have, or actually, I do know that they don't have a free gym that's 8,000 square feet that's open to anybody to come to. I also know that these companies have not taught you how to bench, squat, or deadlift. I know that these companies haven't gone to great lengths to make sure that you guys have the most information, that you're loaded up with the best content that you can possibly be loaded up with to be the best possible powerlifter that you can be. And that's what I've been putting together for the last 12 years since we've had Super Training Gym. I also know that these other companies don't offer the different types of knee sleeves that we have, the different types of products that we have, the different types of wrist wraps and knee sleeves, and the list goes on and on. These other companies, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say, but there was no other colors even involved in powerlifting until Sling Shot came along. Think about how weird that is. There was blue from Ray-Ban, and there was black. And that was about it until we came along. And we're just trying to offer more stuff. We're trying to give you more options. We're trying to give you better options. We created the X sleeve, which is a denim knee sleeve, which is stronger and stiffer than any knee sleeve that you can get. The strong sleeve has properties in it too that make it stronger than any other knee sleeve on the market as well, except for the X sleeve. So there's, the reason why we dump that money into the USAPL and IPF is because we want to start to put money back into powerlifting. We've done that for years. We invest in all kinds of meets. You can talk to meet directors. We've given away all kinds of different things. But the second thing I want to address is in that same post, the guy talks about how the USAPL doesn't care about its lifters and there's no payout. That is a very, very short-sighted and very incorrect way of looking at all this. Just because you get a cash prize from an event, that doesn't mean anything. It really means zero. And it's actually not a great scenario as a sponsor to have to pay out just to give like some cash fee. Now, you might be unaware of this, but the USAPL does do some payouts for their lifters, and without the USAPL, you wouldn't even have some of these companies that have come into powerlifting that are paying athletes out. So it's not really up to, let's see if I can get some of this straight. Yeah, like, okay, so take any other regular sport, for example. The NFL doesn't pay Tom Brady. The New England Patriots pay Tom Brady, right? It's not the federation, it's not the league that pays him. It's who they're with that pays him. And the same thing goes for like CrossFit. CrossFit doesn't pay. Let's see if I'm making that correct. I don't think CrossFit pays anybody anything, except for the people that are employees of CrossFit. I am unaware of CrossFit paying any athlete. They might pay like Rich Froning because he's like a legend or whatever. But Reebok has been the company that has typically paid these athletes $250K when they win. So, for you to kind of judge on where we put our money, that's totally 100% up to you. It's a free country. I agree with your statement. It does kind of in some ways seem like we're giving a good old heave-ho into the dumpster. And so that's why I made that response back to you. But it's a ridiculous assumption to assume that there's a lot better ways to spend that kind of money. Because, like, what is your solution, right? Like, what options do you have that you think would be better? Because if you think a cash prize meet for $250K would be better, you're pretty wrong. You're pretty dead wrong on that. And I just it's not like I haven't thought of these things before. I've said it earlier. I love powerlifting. I've been in love with powerlifting since I was 12 years old. I have combed over every possible scenario that you can think of in terms of what to do with powerlifting and what to do with powerlifting meets. And I have not gotten there yet to the point where I can figure out, exactly what to do with the sport to really push it forward, other than to do what I'm already doing, which is trying to share information with people, trying to explain to people, trying to lower the barrier of entry into the sport. That's why we make the products that we make. The products that we have here at Sling Shot and Super Training, excuse me, I'm dying over here. The products that we make over here lower the barrier of entry into the sport because this is a thankless sport that hurts really bad. And so, therefore, we created a slingshot that helps people that have torn their pecs, like myself. That helps people that have torn their tricep, like myself. That helps people that have torn their bicep, like myself. That ends up helping people that have hurt their elbow, like myself. We make knee sleeves, we make belts, we make wrist wraps. I've hurt myself every which way you can think of. And I've created products, the wrist wraps that we have. The wrist wraps that we have can wrap around your wrist, your knee, your elbow. They all end up being a multi-purpose wrap, and the reason for that is because when I was competing, and I was competing in the USPF, I did a squat, and well, it ended up making like two products, but I had this tremendous amount of pain. I had what do you call that? Golfer's elbow. Golfer's elbow's on the inside of the arm. Tennis elbow's on the outside of the arm. So I had this golfer's elbow deal that was just killing me, and so I wore a wrap that I made myself around my elbow in a competition, and then I got red lights, and they said you can't have Velcro on your elbow when you're doing a squat, even though I just nailed the squat just right. So after that, I actually made the compression cuff based off of that because I was like, okay, they won't allow me to have Velcro on the platform on my elbow, so I'll just do away with it and I'll make like a circle, and then kind of off of that, you started ending up with other products like a hip circle, and it was just like I was on my way, and none of these things were like, the only thing that was made specifically to like kind of quote unquote make more money, but was still purposeful, is the wrist wrap. Like the first generation of wrist wraps that we sold, and even that had a certain spin to it. It was different. I was offering a different product. I was offering something better. But when I lined the two things up, when I said to myself, okay, I'm going to sell a slingshot, I was like, you know what? I can't sell people on the fact that you can bench more, you can lift heavier weights with this product, but you can wear whatever brand wrist wraps you want. So me selling wrist wraps was kind of a block. I was trying to block out the other companies from people wearing my slingshot and then wearing another brand's wrist wrap. But it was also very useful. It wasn't just a tack on you buying more crap from me. It was also useful because if you're going to handle more weight, you need to protect your wrist. You're going to handle more weight in your hands that's 50, 100 pounds heavier than what you're used to. You better protect your wrists. And so that's where the kind of wrist wrap kind of fell into all that.
How much does Velcro help your squat?
It helped me a lot. It launched me into the stratosphere.
Mm-hmm. I'd imagine probably like about half as much as like as squat briefs.
Yeah, sometimes the rules are just the rules, and I don't know. I don't have any control over, so I just try to follow them the best I can and try to cheat them the best I can to get the biggest lift that I can. But yeah, it was just I've had a bunch of things happen to me like that in my career. Sometimes you end up with a target on your back too. I just started becoming more popular, and so there was like people were, Ed Cohn told me about all that. He's like, man, your lifts aren't going to be judged the same way the other ones are, and also too, like maybe that plays into your head a little bit, and maybe it's just all like fabricated. Maybe it's not even real, but a lot of weird things did start to happen. I mentioned before, I put on a bench shirt one time, and like 4 judges were surrounding me. They were like right on top of me. They were right next to me, and they were like, yeah, we're just checking out your bench shirt. And I said, oh, I was like, the shirt's already been checked. There's an equipment check, and you can see, like, it literally has a Sharpie check mark on it that was like orange or something. And they're like, oh yeah, we know. And they're just sitting there like staring at it. And I'm like, hey, look, just because I lift 100 pounds more than everybody in this federation doesn't mean anything other than I'm just stronger than them. And you get under the scrutiny of things like that, and I think that's what kind of happened here too. everyone has a heightened alert. I mentioned smelling fear and knowing and understanding that the other federations are scared. They don't know what we're going to do. They don't know how much time and effort we're going to put into powerlifting. And so I think other companies are kind of like, oh shit, like Sling Shot was already hammering the shit out of us. And, well, what are they going to do now? But that's just part of it all. Like, I love competition. It's great to have other companies out there. SBD in particular, they make a great product. What am I going to do? Cry about it? Try to make better ones. Try to be innovative. Try to get out in front. Try to have that motivate you. They do a good job. There's other companies that do a good job too. And there's room for everyone to grow, I guess is the main point. But I want this company to continue to grow and continue to provide opportunities for the people that are here. So again, that $250K that went in the direction that it went to, could we have said, you know what, it'd be really cool to give, everybody in the company a $10,000 raise. We could have spent the money that way. Like, that would have been around 200 grand. But look, man, 10 grand, it's not going to do anything. It sounds like a lot of money. It sounds like, oh shit, 10 grand. But man, money is fleeting. Money comes and money goes. And just a quick bonus like that is not going to be life changing. Now, us setting the wheels in motion for what this company could actually be in 5 years, that could be life changing for everybody in this building. And that's what I'm excited about. And that's why we make the moves that we make.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. How important is it to you that we, just because I was going through some of the comments just now on whoever that guy is, his post, someone was saying like, oh, if Mark doesn't break even in 4 years, he's going to jump ship, and now we're stuck with a bunch of gear that we can't use.
Yeah, I know. And all of that stuff is kind of weird. I mean, some people like to think ahead a lot more than I do, I guess. But we're not going anywhere. Like, we've always been supportive of powerlifting. We always will be. There was a time period where the company was growing, and our focus was our focus was spread, and we didn't have as many employees, so we couldn't get out to all these powerlifting meets. But you're going to see, coming up, we're going to start to get out to more powerlifting meets. That's part of the reason why we took over Reebok Record Breakers and made it Sling Shot Record Breakers. We're working right now closely with the USAPL on doing some stuff for the Arnold Classic. They have a big competition out there every year that I'm excited to support and be a part of. And hopefully we can get involved in more, but we just have to see. Things have to make sense. Somebody made a comment too online. They said, it's not Mark Bell's job to fix powerlifting. And I actually think that, first of all, I think two things on that. Number one, I don't think powerlifting is broken. Powerlifting is awesome. Powerlifting is a lot of fun. Go to a meet, go to a competition sometime. You're going to hear a lot of people cheering. You're going to see a lot of smile. You're going to see a ton of people smiling like crazy. Mm-hmm. You're going to see some people that get mad. You're going to see some people that cry. But there's a lot of emotion that comes from it. And it's a lot of fun. It's rewarding. I don't think powerlifting is broken in any way. I think that it's thriving. I think it's doing really well. It might be kind of at its peak, or it may have already reached its peak, but it's continuing to do better all the time, by my estimation and by the stuff that we see. Secondly, it is my job to fix powerlifting. That's what we're here for. We're here to make the world a better place to lift. I mentioned this many times before. This is like a religion. Like, Andrew, come with me, my son. And you're kind of like, what? Like, Andrew, look, man, it's going to be fine. All we're going to do, we're going to train some arms. We're going to get a pump in our arms. It's going to be easy, dude. We're going to do some biceps and some triceps. And you're like, okay.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. And then we get in front of a mirror and we get a pump. But then next thing you know, we're doing stuff that's really hard, like dips and close grip bench. And you're kind of like, hey, man, like I thought you said, shut up. And then, you think, oh, maybe it's like 2-3 times a week. Hey, man, see you tomorrow. And just, that's what I want to do with people is I want to take them in and I want to show them, look, you can do all the same things that I can do. You can do all the same things the strongest person at Super Training Gym can do. You can do everything that Filipino Thunder does. except for it's just going to look different because you're not as big and you're not as strong. So you're not going to be able to lift the same weights.
I'm not a manatee.
You're not a manatee. You're not indestructible. You're not Filipino thunder. Lightning bolts shooting right out of your arse. But you're going to be able to squat. You're going to be able to bench. You're going to be able to deadlift. And maybe for you with a crappy back most of your life, maybe you're like, man, like I probably shouldn't be deadlifting. You know, maybe that was the thought process. But now that we took you into this church, this religion that we call Super Training Gym, and we kind of said, hey man, like it's gonna be chill. It's gonna be okay. I mean, when you go to a church, they do the same thing. They're like, hey, look, man, just you know what? I know it'd be great for you. I know it'd be great for, you know, whoever you want to bring on Sunday with you. Just come in on Sunday. No one's going to bother you. We promise no one's going to bother you. You're like, really? No one's going to bother me? Like, no one's going to bother you. You're there. You have a good time. You're into what they're saying for the day. And sure enough, you go to get up and leave, and there's somebody hitting you up on the way out. Hey, you know what? It's great having you here. Hey, have you met so? You know, and there they are walking you over to so and so, and they're like, did you try our cookies? We got cookies here. We got bagels. Why don't you sit down and relax? You should talk to Bill. And next thing you know, you're talking to fucking Bill, and then Bill's telling you how you got to bring your wife and your kids and everything else, and you're like, shit, man. But that's what I want to do with fitness. I want to do that, and I want more and more people to get involved with strength training, because who do we know that can't do strength training? Nobody.
Exactly.
We don't know anyone that can't do strength training. This stuff is easy. It's simple. It's easy. It can be really difficult at times. The difficulty level and the intensity of it can be through the damn roof, where you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
It could be scary.
Yeah.
It could flat out scare you. You're like, man, why'd they put so much weight on that bar? Is that for me?
Yeah.
Dude, I hope that's not for me. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go over to this music thing, and I'm going to try to make different noises come out of here until the right song comes on, so I can try to get hyped up to pretend that I think I can make the lift, but I know that I really can't, but I'm going to go try it anyway.
You've been in my head this whole time.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go roll the dice. We all feel the same way. That's how I know all that stuff. But this is an obsession for us, and this, you know, I do feel it's part of my duty to try to fix powerlifting. I do feel it's kind of, it's etched into my DNA to try to share the message and try to get more people, into it. It's part of the huge reason why we have a free gym. Sometimes I'll hear, many times I've been in this gym, and I'll hear the language that's kind of shared by other people that work here with somebody who's coming in for the day. And we love our own spot so much that we're like sometimes a little bit like resistant to letting somebody just kind of haphazardly come in. But I always try to teach everybody here and talk to everybody here. Say, look, man, not everyone's going to stay anyway, so don't worry about it. Like, just tell the guy it's cool to come in, and he won't come in anyway. Just trust me on this. I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
He ain't going to come back. Not that anybody's ever treated anybody rudely or anything. Everyone's always very polite, but they're like, hey, can I come in and train today? And someone will be like, no, man, you gotta come back on Saturday. Saturday? Yeah, Saturday you might be able to train. Okay, who do I talk to? I'm not sure. All right, man. Catch you guys later.
Yeah. I know. I always try to put people in contact with Marcus. And then once they see who he is, they're like, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, if they're willing to at least try to communicate with Marcus, then I know that they're down to actually, you know, they appreciate the gym enough to actually go through the steps. And then the other reason is because, like, I don't know if, like there's a shit ton of people that are visiting on a certain day. So I'm like, hey, can you just check with him first? And then after that, you're good to go.
I always try to tell, like, just, you know, hit us up on Instagram. Go to The Super Training Gym, I think is the IG. If you're having trouble there, you can try Jessica Smith or Lil Smokey. You can try Filipino Thunder.
There you go.
But you'll get contact with somebody. Look, man, you know, the best things that you make, you know, aren't made in the microwave. They're made in the oven. Things take a long time, and things are annoying and not convenient are always the best. And that's why we kind of make it a little bit of a rat race to try to figure out how to become part of this, because once you do become part of it, it's the best damn thing that you can be part of. And so it's not going to be easy. And when I used to coach kids, I used to say, look, if you're not sweating, I'm not talking to you. You know, if you guys want to sit there and be like, oh, you know, the coaches, they like so-and-so. And yeah, of course we do. We like the guys that are working hard. We like the guys that are working hard better than you. Sorry. I got nothing else to say on that. You know, it's kind of, you know, where somebody will say, wow, did you look at that, man? It's so unfair. All the people that work really hard get all the luck. Shit, man. You know, it's like, do you understand what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, being fortunate is a really valuable tool. You know, my wifey and I, we were just in Seattle, right? Oh boy, a bunch of stories popped up in my head from that. But you know, we went to the first Starbucks ever. If the guy didn't start a coffee shop in one of the most miserable states in the country, and I don't mean that I don't mean that as it's but look, man, depression and those kinds of things are heavy in states like that don't get a lot of sunshine.
Yeah.
It's a dark place. There's a lot of rain there. And would his coffee shop have worked if he started it somewhere else? Like maybe it might not have the same magical powers that ended up becoming a company that, I mean, how many years later? 1971, I think Starbucks started. And I want to say that Starbucks had, of cafe coffee, which I don't know how they figure that out, had like 59 or 53% of the market share or something. Think numbers like that are absolutely mind-boggling for that to happen this day and age with how much competition there is in this damn world. Amazon, you know, like, you know, Amazon might need to, you know, create their own competition, because like they might run into like being like a monopoly or whatever, right? But then also too, you know, so that guy was fortunate that he was able to start his coffee company in that area where it's kind of cold, it's always wet, it's always kind of like down, and people probably need coffee to hype themselves up. They don't have a normal circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
I mean, how weird is that to think about? But that all plays into it. And so, yeah, he's lucky, but man, what a pain in the dick it must have been to start up Starbucks. It must have been really hard.
I mean, he did get a little help from number 2.
Who does number 2 work for?
Well, he invested in Starbucks early on.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I'm pretty sure that helped, you know, kind of boost everything and get it out to the masses.
Hell yeah. Dude.
But he wouldn't have been able to get help from number 2 if he didn't put in the work.
You got to put in that. You got to put in that work. You got to have that grind.
Yeah.
Talking about Austin Powers. You know, and then also another famous person from that area is a guy by the name of Bill Gates. I think Bill Gates grew up in Florida. I could be wrong. I could be pulling some of this out of my ass, but I know that the next statement is at least correct. Bill Gates happened to go to a school at a really young age, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that age category. He happened to go to one of the few schools that had computers. So you start to think about that. It's like, you know, holy shit. What would happen if Bill Gates didn't have a computer when he was 12, you know?
Yeah.
Then maybe all this great stuff that he created, maybe it would have never happened, or maybe it would have been prolonged, or like, you know, who even knows? Anyway, I've been playing around with some ideas. Something I wanted to do. I took a picture today at the first Starbucks ever. I was thinking about maybe about weekly or maybe every other week or so posting something up about, you know, an entrepreneur that I look up to, because I do get people ask me like, well, who motivates you or who inspires you? I'll look these people up sometimes. I'll look up like Benjamin Franklin or Albert Einstein, or I'll hear somebody will say something. I'll hear it on TV or I'll hear it on another podcast, and they'll say, oh yeah, that's like so-and-so's theory. And I'll be like, oh, who's that? Who's that? Whose theory? Who's got a theory about something? Let me look this shit up, you know? And I'll look it up, and because I never went to school, so it's like that's what I'm doing nowadays. Like I'm taking myself to school. But I was thinking about sharing that on my Instagram with people and saying like, you know, here's this week I was at the first Starbucks, and it inspired me to look up information on, I forget the dude who started it, but it inspired me to, investigate him, and I wanted to share all this. I think it's Mike something. But I wanted to share all this information with you guys, and hopefully this sparks something in you to get you hyped up.
That'd be cool. Oh man, I have a couple different names.
Oh, I'm sure.
Jerry Baldwin. No, wait.
I think it's Eric Baldwin.
Eric Baldwin?
Somebody on here is probably answering already for us because people are smart.
People are smart. Let's see if anybody answers on our chat over here.
Bill Gates grew up in Seattle. I'm a dumbass. Anyway.
No. Man, I
went to a private school.
My Googling's not good today.
My eyeballs are getting fat. I can't see anything.
Mine are really bad today.
So your eyesight is worse on some days versus others?
Yep.
Does it have a lot to do with light?
Yep.
How much light maybe you've been exposed to for the day, and how much?
If I hang out with my glasses off for a long period of time, or if I look at my phone without my glasses for like a long period of time.
I've always wondered, do your eyes hurt when you don't have your glasses on?
No, it's just it takes a little bit more effort to get stuff in focus, but you don't actually notice it because your eyes just automatically adjust to whatever the hell your vision is. Are there
a lot of good photographers that can't see for shit?
I know the guy that I learned from the most. He's definitely blind, and I'm on my way there. Yep. Another guy I've been a huge fan of, Joel Grimes. He's actually colorblind, and I always see colors way off compared to everyone else. So that guy was a huge inspiration for me as well, because he's 100% colorblind, but all his photos are in color. So yeah, and he just sees stuff in different shades and tones and whatnot.
Somebody just said on here, they said, could you please eat a Carolina Reaper on your live?
No.
That's some sort of hot pepper or something, right?
Yeah. Remember, you got in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but you were denied when we had that hot chip challenge or whatever.
Ever since Andy Galpin ripped muscle out of my body, my wife won't let me make my own decisions anymore. She's like, I'm taking care of all that from now on. No one's touching you or making you do anything stupid.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. She's like, you're too valuable. She's like, what if something happens? She's like, let other people act like idiots. She's like, don't do shit like that.
So it looks like our boy Russ Drake answered. He said it was Howard Schultz. He was the one that started Starbucks.
Shout out Howard. Anyway, that was something I was just thinking about doing. I thought it'd be fun. And I am, inspired. I do listen to a lot of other people's information. Somebody I've been listening to a ton lately has been Jordan Peterson, and I'm still working on it. We're working on, getting these people on the podcast. These people are extremely busy. They have, Jordan Peterson, he makes his living off of talking, so it almost seems rude in a way of saying, hey, can you do a bunch of free stuff for us, bro? I don't know, it's weird, but I would just like to help get his message out more, and maybe it would start to reach some people that maybe otherwise it wouldn't reach. Because the information that he's sharing is just killing me. I'm like, this guy's he's just on a roll. Some people, and again, it's so frustrating to me. Some people get all caught up with things that he said politically, and he's made a lot of statements about I'm going to probably mess this up because I don't know what to call everybody nowadays because everyone gets so bent out of shape. But transgender, he has basically kind of had this stance of many people are trying to change the language that we use when we refer to certain people. And he's like, look, it's not right. But here's why I think that. But again, people get caught up in stuff like that, and then they just miss everything else that he has to say. Mm-hmm. It's like, even if you don't agree with him on that, and even if you think his view is dumb, or you just think he's an asshole for it, he's still saying a lot of really valuable things. There's still a lot of value in what he's saying, and so I always find that to be frustrating when somebody they flip out, and it's like, man, first of all, it seems like you're not even actually listening to him. I saw one person on one video where he was outside of one of his convention type things that he had going on, and this girl comes up. She's like, I can't believe that you support violence, at your rallies and this and that. And he's like, I don't support violence in any way. And he's like, the people that were violent at my rally were opposing me and opposing the people that were there. That's why there was like a fight. And he's like, they have opposite views of me. So he's like, my views are, he's like, I don't support violence at all. But the girl wasn't listening to him, it's just getting all kind of bent out of shape.
Yeah. I remember I was at a comedy show, a handful of years back. And the guy, I don't even know who it was, but the comedian was like, yeah, shout out to, because it was in Fairfield. He's like, I know we have Travis Air Force Base right around the corner. He's like, so, thank any military man that are in the audience, blah, blah, blah. And then this was like during like the Bush administration, so there was a lot of shit going on with like sending people over.
Right.
And this girl right up front was like, just getting so irate. And he's like, no, I'm on your side. She's like, no, you're not. He's like, no, we're for the troops, not the war, right? She's like, and she just got so pissed off. She couldn't understand what he was standing for, but because she just wanted to be mad at something. And it's so funny, like you were just saying, like separating O.J. Simpson, the football player, from the murderer.
Right.
People catch on to one bad thing and like that's all they want to attach the person to. Mark Bell, the Trump supporter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, people get all bent out of shape about these different topics, and then they can't decipher like what's wrong and what's right. And you've seen that a lot with diet. It's happening a lot with diet, and that's where it gets to be frustrating for me, because you could be so frustrated and so mad that it's to the detriment of your own health. Like, I don't mean for the moment with stress and you yelling at somebody and getting fired up. I don't really mean in that sense. I mean it in a different way. I mean it like towards, you could be denying great information just because you think the carnivore diet is a wild concept. You get so mad and so defensive that something else is better. It's like you could be missing out on something. The other thing I find interesting is a lot of times the people that are kind of throwing these stones are the ones that have a problem. Like they have like an autoimmune disorder. Like, I can't lose weight. But then as soon as somebody says something about a carnivore diet, they're like, that's unhealthy. It's like, well, okay. It's insane that we've gotten to a point that somebody that eats real food is the odd man out.
Yeah.
It is in some ways debatable about, how much meat a person should be consuming in a day. But I do think it's pretty clear that human beings are meant to eat meat. We're meant to eat vegetables, and we're meant to eat fruit. Beyond that, I don't know what else we're meant to make. I mean, you can kind of think that, God put us here with hands and a brain and the ability to think and to be rational. And maybe he made us that way so we can survive and we can eat even grains. What would be the reason in making them if you can't eat them?
Mm-hmm.
Normally our body kind of regulates what you absolutely can't have. Like you can't like just go out and drink gasoline, right? Like your body just spit it out, and then you also get sick from it, right?
Yeah.
So I know that we can make things that are harmful to ourselves, but it seems like the things that are kind of naturally here, that we can naturally like kill and heat up and cook and eat in a way that doesn't give us some weird disease or whatever, doesn't harm our metabolism in a way to where it gives us diabetes or something like that, then everything should be fine.
Yeah. The beatus.
The beatus.
Yeah. I still am curious when when the human body will be able just to adapt to like, or maybe it's already started with someone like Jeremy Avila with the gas station diet. He's able to thrive off of eating like shit.
So actually, you are a genius, Andrew, because you brought up something really interesting, and it had me really thinking. I saw on the news the other day that diabetes is actually down, but obesity is up. So that does tell you that maybe we are adapting to it in some weird way. Now, here's the shitty part. There might be also too. There's definitely a possibility that our markers for diabetes, maybe they're not that correct. Maybe there should be other things looked into to determine whether someone has, basically rather than calling it diabetes, almost like a sugar insulin problem type thing. But Yeah, I think you're correct. I think that the human body, if you do stuff in the short term, it'll usually be pretty grumpy at you. It'll usually like something will happen when you do things. And I'm talking short term. I'm still talking like a span of like 5 or 10 years.
Hmm.
You abuse your body for 10 years, and there'll probably be some poor result of that. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, depending on the person. But if you abuse your body from the time you're really young, we don't know. We don't always know exactly what that looks like, but we're starting to learn. So if you are consuming tons of sugar, I think, and these stats, it's like, who knows, but the average child in this country consumes over 75 grams of fructose a day. 75 grams of fructose per day. And that's just fructose. That's not other carbohydrates, not other forms of sugar. That's just mainly coming from high fructose corn syrup. That is a crazy amount. Again, the numbers can say whatever, you can kind of have numbers say whatever you want. And it's one thing I saw one time on the internet. So I'm not saying that is 100% the truth, but even if it's half that, it's still a lot, right? Maybe if you do it from the time you're really young, maybe your body does kind of adapt to it in some way, and maybe your body will regulate, your insulin, you not becoming insulin resistant, and you later on not becoming diabetic. But being overweight is still going to result in something. It's going to place a lot of stress on your liver, going to place a lot of stress on your heart, potentially your kidneys. But aside from that, what I'm seeing around the country and what I'm seeing when I'm going to these different airports is people are just sick and they are in pain. People are like, man, people are fucking dying. Like, I don't mean literally dying, like, being hauled off in a hearse or anything like that. But man, I'm watching people walk and people can't walk.
Hmm.
They're like, they're really struggling to walk. And I'm like, okay, by my estimation, this guy's probably about 60. That guy's probably about 55. I'm like, that girl over there is probably like 40. That person, and I'm just watching these people weeble wobble their way around the airport. And it's like, what's an acceptable amount of body fat to have? Because there should be an acceptable amount. And I think this is kind of funny, but like, you hear, like, this is a guy thing. Like, men will be like, oh man, you're not gonna have a beer, don't be a pussy, right?
Hmm.
But drinking too much beer makes you look like a bitch. It gives you like wide hips. It gives you a
Yeah.
beer belly. It gives you tits.
Yeah.
I mean, Maria Emmerich, who we interviewed, she said it's not a beer belly, it's an estrogen belly.
Yeah.
She's like, that's a byproduct of you drinking too much and raising your cortisol levels.
That's crazy.
I know. And now, at the same time, like a guy who does some construction and throws back a beer here and there, yeah, having a layer of chub is totally fine. And you don't want, I would imagine a lot of these women out there too, they don't want their guy, scraping ranch dressing off his salad and being a little bitch about it, right? Like, it's too many calories, right? So there's got to be some leeway, but like, what are acceptable amounts of fat?
Hmm.
And not fat calories, but what are acceptable amounts of body fat that you could have on your body? Now, it could probably look pretty different for each person because different people kind of distribute their fatness in different ways. But man, people are too fucking fat.
Yeah.
They are way too, and it's not even about like looking like really fat, because there's a lot of people where if you and I got in conversation, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know that person. We wouldn't be like, oh yeah, the fat guy. Like, it's not definitely the fat guy. It's just somebody who's so out of shape, their body fat like percentage or whatever is just through the roof. And I see it time and time again. And I maybe I'm like a fitness freak or something. I don't know. But it just seems like you have to go so far out of your way to be that way. And I'm not talking about having an extra 10 pounds, 20 pounds, or maybe not having the body that you want, because everyone's in that category. Like, everyone's always trying to make their body better, right? And everyone's trying to get leaner and more jacked and stronger. And it's hard. It's hard to manage all these things. There's probably like, I don't know, 3% of the population that's like, yep, I feel awesome about the way I'm built and my strength level.
And
That's
that-
probably like Larry Wheels and Larry Wheels.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I was gonna say because that guy is an asshole, but not. You said Larry Wheels, so I was like, I better not say that because he's big.
Yeah. He's pretty.
You put a
yeah.
name on him. I can't say that guy's an asshole now.
Yeah, he's pretty. He's pretty big and he's pretty jacked. I saw him do 605 for a triple the other day. That was pretty crazy.
Jeez.
And he just smoked. I mean, he's just. It's great because it's not anything spectacular from him. It's just him just lifting.
hmm
You know, he's just getting after it. But he's a beast. But I think that people need to hold themselves to a higher standard. You know, it's interesting to me that people get to a certain body weight too, and then it just kind of ceases. It just kind of stops. Somebody might weigh 300 pounds, but then the weight just stops. And so it's like whatever control mechanism you have to have stopped yourself. Now, I realize there's people that are really big, but whatever control mechanism you have that stopped you at 300 pounds, how do we get you to use some of that towards weighing 270,
hmm
you know, towards weighing 260? And trying to figure out ways of having a little bit of momentum to just be a little healthier. I mean, my mom and my dad are great examples of that. My mom has been in love with food forever, and my mom's got all this shit tied to her eating. You know, the way that she eats. She didn't grow up in a very loving household. She, you know, her I think her mom and her dad and her brothers and stuff would call her fat and all this stuff. And so she's got these, it's hard, you know, but my mom and dad are great examples of people that have been carrying around excess body fat for a long time that decided to finally do something about it. It's really just not that hard. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hard to be shredded. It's hard to look like Mike O'Hearn. It's hard to, you know, get your body to the low level of body fat that it would take to do like a bodybuilding show. That shit's intense, and for most people, it's not easy. For some people, it might come easier than others, but um, there has to be in your head. You have to decide how fat is too fat for me, and then just go from there. So even if you're 70 pounds overweight, you're looking at yourself in the mirror every morning going, man, I'm a useless piece of shit. You might feel that way, and that's fine. But then make a decision on how do you become less useless than you were yesterday.
hmm
Forget about trying to be good or trying to be great or anything. Follow the gut instinct that you have, the big gut instinct that you have in this situation. Follow the gut instinct that you have that's telling you that this is not good for you anymore. Start to focus in on the things that are good for you, because when you reach for that thing that's not good for you, it's not only disabling you from doing the shit that you want to do, it's also encouraging you to continue to go in the wrong direction. So it's almost like, you know, it's one thing to have the wrong directions when you're driving. It's another thing to have the wrong directions when you're walking, right? When you're walking, you're like, God damn it, this is getting to be, and for whatever reason, the GPS doesn't really know where you are.
So frustrating.
It doesn't know exactly where you are, and you walked 4 blocks the wrong way. If you drove 4 blocks the wrong way, you're like, shit, I gotta flip a bitch, and you flip a bitch, and you're there, you're fine. But if you're walking in the wrong direction, it really pulls from you. So that's what you're doing. You're self-sabotaging yourself. There's these little things that we could be doing that can make our lives easier, and you just have to start to adopt some sort of responsibility to your day. And now here's where everything plays out really nice. There are a tremendous amount of different diets that you can try. There's a lot of them, and you've heard a lot of people say, you know, I don't know which one to do, but you can pick one. Pick somebody that you relate to. Investigate and look at Rob Wolf. Look at a book like The War on Carbs. Look at Stan Efferding and the stuff that he's preaching. Find somebody. Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof Coffee guy. All these people have great information that can really be beneficial. And if you kind of break everything down, you kind of are like, okay, all these people are saying about the same thing in some way. I have to figure out to have some discipline, some control, I got to adopt a responsibility in my life to make a change. And then you make a change. And then once the change is made, you work on figuring out, how can I develop consistency with this change that I just made? Is the change that I just made reasonable? Because if it's not reasonable, it ain't going to last. If every morning you're sucking down some disgusting fiber shake or something like that every day, yeah, you could do that for 10 days, 20 days if you're really disciplined. Maybe even stick with it for 3 months. But then what happens? Everything that you do, you need to really start to try to figure out, as I'm going through this process, how am I going to get out of this process? How am I going to move and try something different? With the diet that I've presented to you guys, we did the not so fat diet, which was just basically gave you guys a lot of food options. Then we moved into the vertical diet, and that's where we are right now. And if you're following along on the Operation Get Less Fatterist, I'm sharing information there as much as I possibly can, trying to get you guys the latest and greatest so that you guys can understand what it is we're doing and what we're trying to do, what we're striving for. But the diets that we're going to go through, people are like, "Oh man, you gave up on the war on carbs," or the ketogenic diet is my favorite diet. And I want to just maybe even get away from saying ketogenic diet, and I'll just say a low carb lifestyle. A low carb lifestyle, a diet that is absent of breads and sugar, that might allow for a little bit of fruit, vegetables, occasional potato or something like that. That's my favorite style of diet. And even taking it further and even sometimes not having the potatoes in there and stuff. But I like to change things up because I like my performance to be high as well. So I've said this a billion times, but a low carb lifestyle, the war on carbs, all the information that's in my book, that's the easiest way for me to eat in with managing the amount of food that I consume to be the body weight that I want to be. It's my favorite way of eating. And then also on top of that, when I'm not following the war on carbs specifically to a T, and when I'm not really trying to have the fat be high and the carbs being like really, really super low, I enjoy doing other things, and I enjoy trying to pack on some muscle, and I enjoy trying to get a little stronger. And so that's why we're going through these different diet phases. When we're done with the vertical diet, we're going to move into a ketogenic diet, and then from there we're going to move into the carnivore diet. These are all diets I've used in the past with tons and tons of success. But what diet are you going to pick, and what diet are you going to utilize to help regulate your body weight, to help regulate how you feel? There's some things that aren't debatable when it comes to a ketogenic style diet, and I think that these things are getting missed. These things are getting missed greatly. A ketogenic diet does not have any magical powers, said it 1,000 times. Where it might have some boost over the competition, a boost over just being in a caloric deficit. Where it might have a boost somewhere is that a ketogenic style diet can change the pharmacology of your brain. This is something talked about quite a bit by Dominic D'Agostino. So if it possesses that ability, if it possesses the ability to potentially kind of change some of the behaviors that you have and change just your overall mindset on whether you're frumpy and going to sit on the couch for the day or whether you're going to get up and kick some ass, to me, that's not something that we can just dismiss. Like, that's huge. And I've said it before, I say it in the book, the diet will promote itself, because when you're on a ketogenic diet and you start to do it for a long time, you start to care a lot less about other junk.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to a point where you don't, you really, you're just like, you know what? That is so sideways from what I want to do that I'm not going near any of that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want that,
It was the first diet, because like I tinkered with keto before I ever tinkered before I ever got here, but it was just to see what the hell it was all about. It was I would say it was about to blow up the way it has recently.
Mm-hmm.
So, like 4, maybe 5 years ago now. And it was the first diet that I ever followed that made me, it totally changed my like taste buds. Like I can eat like
It's
a,
huge.
like a actual like plain cacao chocolate bar and be like, this is good. I tried one the other day. I'm like, this is horrible. It just tasted so bad. But
Was it like 100% or 90%?
something like that. Yeah. I looked at it and I don't know. We were at what's that
Sometimes you got to get a little salt.
that fancy store, not fancy, that weird hipster Trader Joe's.
Mm.
And I looked over and I'm like, hey, like let's try this. And I just got it because it said it had cacao nibs or
Right.
whatever. And I'm like, this would probably be all right.
Yeah, those are kind of rough.
And it was rough.
Mhm.
Stephanie, like as soon as she bit into it, she's like, bleh. And then I thought it was pretty good at first, but then it had a horrible aftertaste. But that's one thing that I don't think people don't understand is with like the ketogenic style diet is not only do you not want the bad things, but when you try the bad things, they taste horrible. And then when you try the things that you think are bland right now, they taste really fucking good. And you can actually sit back and enjoy like a quote cheat
Right.
that's not bad.
Right.
It's kind of amazing.
It's also it takes a lot to get tired of some of the different foods that we have opportunity to eat. Like
Mhm.
I don't know, like I don't like love eggs, but I can eat the hell out of eggs like all day long. I can handle them, and there's so many different ways I can prepare them. When it comes to like red meat or even chicken or fish, it's like I can figure out enough different things to mess with to where I never get tired of it. But even in terms of steak, if I have a nice chewy fillet, I never get tired of that. You guys kind of seen me around here. I pull the fillet out of my prep thing and I just chew on it like it's a protein bar because
Mhm.
it's I don't even feel like I need to if you cook it just right, it kind of all falls apart and it's really pretty awesome. But after a while, you start to not care that much about some of the junk food that's out there. And even when you have the opportunity to eat some of the junk food, you're going to eat a lot less of it. My wife and I we went to Seattle. Her and I had a good time. We were celebrating some stuff and just each other. It wasn't anything in particular because sometimes it's fun just to do that, right?
Mhm.
There's not an anniversary or birthday or anything like that. We're just hanging, just kicking it. And so we went to this nice restaurant. We chowed down on some food, had a couple drinks. Alcohol is, I've said this before, alcohol is not part of any part of any diet that's going to help you with your health or help you get lean or anything. So that's definitely part of the cheat. And we got done eating, and the waitress brought us over a creme brulee. We didn't even ask for it. But they brought it to us, and we crushed it, of course. We're like, well, we're not going to be at this nice fancy restaurant and not crush this creme brulee. That'd be rude. So we did that. And then, of course, you get back to your hotel room, and everyone's got the, little mini bar, and the mini bar's talking to you. And so we had some M&Ms from the mini bar, right? It's like
Mhm.
sometimes, like, that's reasonable. But, like, what's reasonable for you? Like, it can't be reasonable for you to not give a shit. There's two ways to live your life. There's one way of saying, you know what, nothing's matters, nothing's meaningful, and I'm not responsible for anything. You just put your hands up, and you can be a bitch and not have to do anything.
Mhm.
The advantage of that is you don't get hurt. You don't get hurt by things. You don't get hurt by people because no one has any expectation of you, and your reputation's never on the line because you don't put yourself out there. You're not trying to do anything. You're not trying to really ever advance yourself, and so. You can stay very protected that way. And that's why a lot of people do that. But,
That's such a sad state to be in.
oh, it's sad. But I think a lot of people have been there. I would say that, like, I've probably been, like, I'm not somebody who really has run into a lot of, like, depression or anything like that. But I've been there. It's
Mhm.
fair to say that I think everyone has kind of been in that situation. I mean, I definitely had some years in my life where I just didn't want to be like held accountable for stuff because I was just like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, that was always my excuse. I don't know how to do that. I was not I can't do that. I was like, I don't know how to do that, which is basically the same thing. I just thought I wasn't like smart enough to figure it out or whatever. And I'm like,
Mhm.
so I don't have to do that.
It was just your version of I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, right.
I just want to grab people and shake them, like, just fucking try. Like, whatever it is, just go out, just step out of your bedroom and try. You never know what you might find.
Well, when you try things and then you learn that you can do it, you're like, holy shit, okay, this is pretty cool. And then you start to make a little bit of progress, and you're starting to feel you're starting to feel really good about yourself. But people have a tendency to be self-destructive, and I do that often too. You're going to do things that are a little bit off your diet. You're going to do things that are a little bit off your plan. But think about what your life would look like. Those of you that are listening right now, I want you to take this to the heart. Think about what your life would look like if you continually made the correct decision all the time. If you started to follow your consciousness and started to follow kind of that gut feeling that's telling you, hey, this is wrong, and you stop doing that thing. You know, this is unreasonable for me to spend 2 hours playing a video game. It's totally reasonable, totally acceptable that if you had a long day, you like playing video games. By my account, I think it's totally fun. Not that mine matters, but in my opinion, 30 minutes of leisure bullshit, just sitting there mindless, is totally fine. I think that people sometimes need that. For me, it's usually like a walk, or sometimes I'll sit in front of the TV. The TV's like half on, and I'm messing around on my phone, texting, or it's not healthy. I realize it's not a good habit, but it's unacceptable for me to sit there for 2 hours. It's fine for me to sit there for 15 minutes and be like, okay, well, I got a bunch of emails, I got a bunch of texts, so I'm going to kind of sit over here, and I'm going to halfway work and halfway kind of just catch up and see what the hell's going on in the world, and then I'll get back to like hanging out with my kids or some other responsibility that's way more important than what the hell I'm doing on my phone. Oh my God.
Sorry. I was reading some comments over here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, where was this guy from? I think Norway, and he took advantage of our free shipping the other day.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I got some gear.
Free shipping.
Yeah.
People love that shit.
Shit was awesome.
Uh-huh.
One thing you said, that it's actually kind of easy to kind of eat better. I think a lot of people get hung up on actually just starting, because to actually go from zero to moving is really hard. You know, because people have weird relationships with their food. Not weird, but they just have a relationship with food that's, I mean, it's unhealthy, but you know what I mean? Like, they have to celebrate everything with dessert or something like that. And then when they say, or when they look at a diet, they have to say goodbye to those things. And that's really hard for them.
Right.
You know, and if they just don't understand, in time, it will be easy.
Right.
It's just that initial step is really fucking hard.
You know, you want to try to do stuff long enough to where you can be successful at it. You know, I think that I've just I feel so grateful that I have a healthy enough body to like lift weights, because I feel like I owe so much to the iron teaching me these lessons over the years. But it takes a really long time to acquire strength.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, and you can do everything right and still not get a pat on the back for it. You know, you can do everything right and it's still not coming together. You could look at your body every day and go, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm eating really good. Like, man, my eating is at 90%. I feel like I'm at 90% with my sleep. I feel like I'm at 90% with my hydration. I feel like I'm working out basically as hard as I can. And then you go to do a lift and you miss it.
Yeah.
And you're like, or you look at your body and you're like, this is not.
All this work for that?
Yeah. I've been working really hard, and now it's the summertime. I don't even want to take my shirt off in front of everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you've been training your face off, and you learn those lessons. But man, this stuff takes a really long time. It's going to take you a long time to do anything. And so when you think about how hard the task is of getting started and getting momentum and having consistency behind you, you have to just keep trying. You know, when I don't see somebody for a while and I see them again, and we went over a diet many times, and I see that they're the same body weight, it's very clear that they gave up on trying. They're not continuing to try. It's like, well, And there are some exceptions to the rule because sometimes some of the people I know have lost 50 pounds, and then you kind of get stuck, which is different. Like if you've been doing something for a few months and you plateaued for a little bit, that's a different scenario than somebody just continuing to look the exact same as when they started, right? And so I see that a lot, and you have to figure out a way to continue to push forward. And if you listen to the message of this podcast, I'm trying to arm you guys with weapons that you can use in your day-to-day life, so you can make decisions on your own. So you can like forget what I'm promoting, forget about me promoting the vertical diet for a second, and maybe for some strange reason that's not a great diet for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have to investigate something else or try something slightly different. If you feel that you've really been trying it and it's not working, then you have to think, okay, a couple things. Okay, maybe my execution is off, or maybe my interpretation of this diet is a little bit wrong. Maybe I should kind of like look up more information on this diet and then, kind of double down and see if that works. And if that doesn't work, then you probably need to try something different.
Yeah.
But you can't stop.
Yeah, I've been trying. So, like, I don't know, a couple weeks back, I was saying I was having a hard time eating steak. So I tried to switch over to chicken. Having a hard time with chicken right now. Tried the vertical diet. I'm having a hard time with that too. I don't know if it's like the changing of the season or something, but food is not. It doesn't interest me at all right now, and it's a real struggle. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, so like, I mean, again, you might want to try something a little different. You might want
Mm-hmm.
to try some like fasting or something, so you're hungry and but the main thing on that is like, once you get away, once you get off that gas pedal and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm just going to eat a couple things off my plan. A lot of times that right there will start to kind of, it'll start to send a lot of messages to your brain of like, that's the last thing of course, the last thing you want to eat is steak when you maybe have been eating something different that's not part
Mm-hmm.
of the plan. So there's definitely that factor in there, and that happens to me. If I change something just a little bit, it will mess up my entire diet. It will throw everything. It will throw everything out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's like for me, I can have this kind of short cheat window, and then that thing needs to be like,
Shut right away.
yeah, it needs to be ditched. So, like for example, if tonight after training, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go smash a bunch of pizza. I'm gonna just get after it. That would take me like about 5 days, probably a good 4 or 5 days to totally recover from. And I don't mean like body weight wise; there would be no change really. Maybe I'd be a little bit more bloaty and a little bit more farty, but there wouldn't be any real change. But the psychological thing to wake up the next day and have that first meal tomorrow morning to get in here and bang out some squats would be really hard.
Yeah.
Like oatmeal and eggs, fuck that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know we talk about, and we have people tell us about the psychological like reaction that we get. But I don't know. Like I feel like I didn't go too crazy far
Right.
off the diet to
Right.
really have that effect. But and the other thing is I've experienced this before with or without any kind of diet where I just like food is
Yeah.
it's like if I could just
Try eating less meals, right now you probably eat what 4 or 5 meals every day or so.
I'm trying to hit 4, but right now it's been a struggle just to get 3.
Mm.
Like I'll eat once
Yeah.
here and then once for dinner. But I will have breakfast sometimes, so
Mhm.
I guess technically 3 times.
Right. Well, you might want to just try to do, you go through different periods of time where you're doing things a little differently. It's hard though. Once you start to lose momentum, what I would do is I would try to eat on a schedule the best that you could. If you can figure out at least the last 2 or 3 meals, if you can be on some sort of schedule the last couple meals. Sometimes it's hard in here because like we train different times here
Yeah.
and there, but I was doing something like that for a while where I would eat it around 8 a.m. and around 12 a.m. and then around around 3 or 4 a.m. or p.m. and then and it was
Yeah.
just like every 3 or 4 hours basically.
Yeah.
I would try to just kind of at least my alarm on my phone would vibrate and I wouldn't always get the meal in, but I would try to be within half an hour of it just to
Yeah.
kind of schedule something in. maybe try to have some of the meals just have like, I don't know, less carbs or something, or just try to switch it up so it's different,
Mm-hmm.
or figure out a way to make some of the meals like Stan's whole thing with the bone broth is to try to make things more moist so it's easy to get down,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options when it comes to things. I do weird stuff that other people probably wouldn't dig, but like I'll take yogurt and I'll put yogurt on top of something because plain yogurt to me tastes just like sour cream.
It
So
really does.
I'll eat. It's just sounds so disgusting to even say it out loud, but I'll eat like some potatoes and some yogurt and steak, and I'll kind of put them all in the same fork or spoon or whatever and knock that down. It's a little easier for me to kind of
Yeah.
consume that. But
Yeah.
you might want to try some recipes, like get with your lady friend there and say, hey, let's look up some recipes online.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something different. Let's make something fun. Like it could still be nutritious and still be all stuff that follows the plan. Maybe there's some small deviation where you're using like a little extra oil here or there or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, you're just trying to make things taste delicious so you can, crush those foods.
Yeah. She's been making like chicken with in the slow cooker, and I'll smell it and it'll be like, oh, dude, I get so stoked. I get excited. And then like that day I'll tear it up and I'm like, dude, I can't, like, figured it out. Like we're good. We're back on. And then that night I was just like, fuck, what do you want to eat for dinner? It's like, man, I literally don't want anything. So it's like, it's really frustrating, but I think if I just stop, cause like I had bread the other day, cause like I just didn't want to eat anything. So I'm like, I'm just going to
Yeah.
have a slice of bread.
And that's exactly kind of what we're talking about here, where you do something where it's like you're kind of like even keel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you could potentially do something that's good for you, which is way over here to the right, or you could do something that's bad for you. And if you look at it, it's like, man, it really slams you
Yeah.
back. And the other things that it causes, and that's why we start to run into more and more people that come here and you're like, I haven't cheated in 7 years. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, how is that possible? I don't think for myself I'll ever get there. But I don't, man, I don't, it's hard for me to say, but I don't think I have any sort of like problem with eating,
Mhm.
like first of all, I digest stuff pretty well. There are certain things that can like, almonds and, uh, nuts basically. Like if I eat them, like they cause a lot of gas and they hurt my stomach. So it's like, there's a couple things that aren't great for me.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't chew them all the way I'm supposed to or whatever, but there's a couple things that can do things like that to me. But in general, I feel like I can eat something and then I can kind of switch over to something else, and I feel like I do a pretty good job of managing it. If I'm guilty of anything, I probably do tend to overeat here and there. I might eat a little too often here and there too. But you guys seen me eat. It's not like I'm crushing some crazy amount of food anyway.
No.
But at night I would say like I load my calories probably later on in the day. Definitely guilty of like having a protein bar here and there and some things like that. But it just kind of depends on where I'm at, and I know for myself that I can switch to something different because I can usually figure out a why that overwhelmingly pulls me towards kind of how I'm going to do something.
Mhm.
So you have a reason that makes you figure out how to get it done. Your reason. For a lot of times, people's reason for being rich is because they were really poor when they were young, and they're like, you know what, I'm doing the exact opposite of this shit. I'm going to work my ass off to make sure that my life's never like this again, right? And they figure it out and they become really successful.
Yeah. No, I just have to focus back in, and I knew that like eating shitty is just gonna make everything worse.
Mm-hmm.
Just frustrated, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, it gets to be it's easy. It's easy to fall off the plan.
Yeah.
It's easy to it's easier to kind of get a little sideways with shit,
Mhm.
and it happens to everybody. I mean, it happens to me a lot, and it doesn't happen to me as much anymore because I don't allow myself to get over certain body weight. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my limit.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else, I was talking to Aaron the other day. I was saying, hey, like, maybe you want to get like your blood
Mm-hmm.
checked, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
like if you do something, a body fat check, if you do something that gives you like a number, a result to work with, then maybe it gives you an idea towards, what's your next reason for doing something, rather than you just kind of sitting there and staying the same. You can figure out something that is goal oriented. Say,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I want to kind of do.
Yeah. And it's funny, like when we talk about some of the guests that haven't had a cheat meal in forever, it's like, who are you competing against? I know some people are literally still competing, but at the same time, it's like, shit, man, enjoy a little something here and there.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah,
I think
savages.
I think they're the reason why they're doing something, it just outweighs everything else so much. And the more that you can kind of get on board with this concept of, rather than thinking about doing things great all the time, just think about, stop doing shit that's not good for you. Rather than like, because that's going to be the alternative. The alternative is going to be shit that's good for you, right? But like, let's say, for example, you're on a ketogenic diet, and you you don't feel like eating meat, but you eat an apple. It's like, it's not. I realize the apple has nothing to do with your diet. It's like probably the probably the one thing that's like you shouldn't eat because it's got sugars in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a ketogenic diet, but at least it's still a nutritious chunk of food, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think trying to keep with that is one of the main things. And if people do that over a long period of time, that's how you can become successful at anything.
Did you get the email that I forwarded to you?
Just now?
No,
Oh,
no, no. It was earlier today.
oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. About the guy lost a shit ton of weight, right?
Yeah, so this guy's name's Trey. He's been doing keto for 20 months and he's lost over 100 pounds. He reached his goal weight, but he kind of wants to start doing some what is it? He wants to start lifting again. So what should so he just went going from low calorie keto and he wants to know what should he transition to next.
I think that he should follow along with what we're doing right now. We're doing a vertical diet. We're going to be going into like a ketogenic diet again, and we're going to be going into the carnivore diet and then into a bodybuilding diet. But that would be the easiest thing to do, is for him to kind of follow along with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do the ketogenic diet specifically for him, he may want to have, yeah, it's hard. It's hard sometimes to give. It's hard sometimes to give fatties carbohydrates. But what he might want to do is, pre-workout on the days that he works out really hard, like twice a week. He might want to have, about 30 grams of carbohydrates from either rice or a potato. And just keep it really simple. Some people would say, "Oh, why isn't it after? It should be after. It should be taking advantage of the post-workout and stuff like that." But I'm trying to keep it simple for him. Just do it sometime before your workout. Could be any time before your workout. If for some reason you work out in the morning and you don't eat before you train, then simply just have the carbs after. So pretty simple. But I think he should follow along with our story. And I really appreciate when people send us stuff and they tell us about their journey,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell us about what's going on. Andrew, how can people kind of write in and let us know what's up? Like, how this guy hit you up on Instagram, I think, right?
Yeah, he actually just sent me an email, but
An email.
yeah, some people have hit me up on Instagram. That works too.
We have the Power Project IG, right?
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Bell Power Project IG.
That's one way. Yeah, just hitting me up is probably because the Power Project gets flooded sometimes, so it's kind of hard to keep up. That way, coming on to powerproject.live and asking a live question is like huge because we can just
Right.
answer it right here on the spot. But yeah, I think those are the two best ways. Just hitting me up on Instagram and then right here on powerproject.live, which is just YouTube live. But
For you, Andrew, it might be a good idea to really think about, you want to pull 300 pounds, and you have got some other goals.
yeah.
might be a good idea to, like, I don't know, write that shit down, put it somewhere,
Hmm.
and take a good hard look at it, put it away for a little bit, but like really try to think about it. Maybe take a picture of it on your phone, and it's just there. Like having this, having a specific goal. Like the way that it works is if you don't have a certain amount of energy, a certain body weight, or a certain amount of nutrition in your body, it's be very hard for your body to work the way that you want it to. And the fastest way for you to get to some of these lifts and to build some strength is to say, look, you know what? Unacceptable to eat only 2 or 3 times a day. So that's,
Hmm.
you got to try to figure out, okay, there could be all kinds of, there's so many different tricks that you can employ. There's so many different things that you could do. You could say, okay, tomorrow, tomorrow's a weird instance because of the early squat session or whatever, but you could say on Saturday, say I'm going to wake up at 6 and I'm going to go for a freaking 30-minute walk. Boom, you go hit up a big walk, you come back and you eat, and your first meal is done by 7 o'clock, 7:30 or whatever. So it's like, that's one way of kind of sneaking in an extra meal or whatever,
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, during the bodybuilding show, prep and all that, a lot of my motivation was like, I need to be really good for Mark right now, which was kind of weird because I've never done that before. But man, I didn't miss any meals. I was in bed early,
yeah,
woke up hella early because some of our sessions were
yeah.
stupid early. But yeah, that was my goal. That's all it was like, I need to be the best training partner I can be right now.
I know you've been off Instagram a little bit, but you should check out my Instagram because I've been fucking hustling, man. I've been doing all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. There's been some small hiccups food wise, but nothing major.
Hmm.
But yeah, I started doing a little bit of cardio. I've been doing
I saw that. Yeah.
doing my walks. I've been yeah, everything's been pretty spot on. And I've been just trying to kill people with it because I realized that a lot of people were following that bodybuilding journey, and they like that kind of fire, and I do that kind of shit anyway. I just don't always fucking want to record it.
Yeah.
So I've been doing tons of walks. I think a couple days ago I got in like 6, probably like 15 or 20-minute walks during the day. I was like, damn, I've really got a lot of walking in
It's a
today.
world record.
Yeah, it was a world
You
record.
and your dad setting world records every day.
My dad loves those PRs.
Has he mentioned any new PRs lately?
No, I haven't seen him in a few days, so
Hmm.
I'll probably see him tonight. I'll get the scoop on his on his latest PRs.
Somebody had asked, were those biscuits bitchin'? I saw those on your IG story. What was that all
Oh
about?
yeah, just it was a place that was near the original Starbucks. It's
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's just called like Biscuit Bitch or something. Is the name of the place, and then it's like bitch get in line, and
Yeah.
like had bitch this and bitch that in there. But I didn't eat anything from there.
Bitch, we're closed.
Yeah, I was like, bitch, I ain't eating your carbohydrates. Yeah, we smashed some coffee, and that was pretty much it. And then got the hell out of there.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind?
Nope. It's time for us to. You know what? I'm gonna give people a little treat right here. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I'll give people our training split. People always ask me that question, and I
Got any programming?
got any programming, bro?
Programming?
So here's the lifting that we're doing right now. Every wow, I can't read my own handwriting. That's pretty bad. Every Monday we're doing triceps and shoulders. We changed it. We were doing biceps and triceps. We're doing triceps and shoulders on Monday. And yeah, I think it was Tuesday. We did it was kind of a little bit more of a hamstring lower back workout. We did we did a shit ton of stuff for the hammies. My hammies are still dying. You mentioned yours were cramping and
Mhm.
stuff. But we started out with some leg curls, then we moved into some deadlifts, and then we did some the back attack, and we finished with some heavy bent over rows. Um, Wednesday is normally off, and Thursday, which is today, is going to be a chest workout. It's just all chest. I actually don't have anything else listed there. Then Friday we do legs. Saturday we do back and biceps, and then Sunday is off. So It's it's a real ass kicker. We work hard over here. We're trying to train our faces off. We kind of have Saturday, Sunday. We can kind of rotate those days. We can lift on Sunday or we can lift on Saturday. We got it kind of floating right now because sometimes I'm not around or different
Mhm.
scheduling things. But that's basically the split right there, kids. And we're gonna go crush some chests right now. So
Yep.
catch you guys later. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Peace.